Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another SLG Meetup. Your host Alvaro to bring you another exciting guest to talk about different areas in the luxury space. And for that, we're gonna have the director of ARRCC. His name is John Case, and he's gonna be telling us all about the incredible projects that his company has been working on.
Here he is, John Case, the man himself. I love it.
Thanks for having me again, Alvaro. It's really great to be live with you again. I really enjoyed our last chat, and so much has happened since then, so it's really good to connect and let you know what we're busy with and what we've been up to.
But how are things for you? How are things in Cape Town, South Africa? Tell us a little bit about what is going on.
Well, I think, looking back over the last 3 years, there's so much to take in and so many lessons that I think we've learned as a company. When we first started working in the international market, I think there's so much new to kind of absorb and to kind of understand and process and culture and the kind of expectation and the kind of clientele that we were attracting was something that was very new to us, a number of years ago. And I think we've obviously had a few years in the international market now, so we've definitely learned a lot more about process, a lot more about the kind of projects that we believe we could add value to. The US specifically has been amazing to us. I think the logic and the kind of the way that we design, really kind of resonates with a lot of our clients and a lot of our American clients.
Remaining humble, staying grounded, really getting your hands dirty. So is there a specific approach on how you make sure that the entire group of people that work together remain that way?
Yes, I think, a big part of this is the recruitment strategy that the company employs. Having a great portfolio of work kind of gets your foot in the door, but it doesn't secure you the job. A lot of that is the fit, is the work ethic and the understanding. I mean, we work really hard, but, our teams are so highly skilled that, these guys are so dedicated to design that it's quite hard for new people to fit into that level of strategy, and I think what we've always tried to do at ARRCC, which was, really invest time in mentorship, in training, in building up the kind of, we always say we're trying to create seconds. I'm always looking for my replacement.
Tell me a little bit about what are some of the latest projects that you have.
Working in the States, for example, we're working, as I said, I think in 46 countries at the moment, which is a pretty astounding number.
Yeah, I'm like,
but I think a big part of that is I in Cape Town, and part of the challenges that we face is that I'm working in the US time zones, so my day is sort of starting, and I've got calls now, and these are all things that we've had to learn and develop. And expansion for us was always maybe one day we'll open an office in Miami or Los Angeles or wherever it might be, and those are still discussions that we're having. But ultimately in South Africa, we kind of, our home base is equally far away from everywhere. So, we're able to kind of, we're equally far away from everybody. And so that South Africans are great at flying. But we've seen a bit of a trend start developing in the last, I would say, 24 months. Is that I think through COVID and people spending a lot more time at home and a lot more time in, their own personal spaces, whether it's a holiday home or their own private residences, there's this big push towards wellness. A lot of our homes are now, the sort of spa kind of wellness, beauty kind of aspects are growing. And I think that also kind of lent itself to the locations that we're now working in. Miami, there's another big project that we've just signed recently. I can't really talk about it at this point, but it's going to be amazing. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal.
I'll call you later. You tell me about it.
And the client that we're working with is such an icon and such an amazing person, and him and his wife are just phenomenal. And I'm really excited about that project.
When you're going through the process, the process of onboarding, everything is. Do you give them some feedback on what you've seen overseas that you could implement in here and create something completely different?
Look, I think, and this talks a little bit about, I would say, design trends. I mean, I think if you say to most more experienced designers, when we talk about trends and bringing influences into projects and being influenced by other things, I think a lot of designers kind of, sort of negatively look upon trends. In other words, we're trying to be unique. We're trying to, come up with something new. I think when you've been in the industry as long as I have, I think you learn that there really is this sort of distilling of your experiences, your work, what the client has shown you that they enjoy, the cultural narrative of the site and the location. There's a number of things that start coming into play into this sort of recipe that forms the concept. But I do think that I personally, my experiences in life and my travel experiences and working around the world, and all of that has kind of got me to this point. They've all been little clues to get to the designer that I am today. And I think that, is something that continues to evolve.
What's the best approach to really promote your brand and your product services?
I know this sounds kind of like a bumper sticker, but, so much of it is about being true to yourself, which is my bumper sticker moment. And that means sticking your neck out. That means taking risks. I can think back to a number of projects where us pushing forward on a design because we knew it was the right thing to do, was very, very stressful. It was, on the point where the client's saying, these guys aren't for me, this is not working out, maybe ARRCC is not the right team. And I think that, I've had amazing mentors in my life. I mean, Stefan Anthony being one of them, Mark Riley, Greg and Philip, all the senior kind of directors of Toyota and ARRCC. I grew up under them, so it was like, partly being under the wing of a dragon. You learn the hard stuff the hard way very often. But so much comes from confidence. So much comes from speaking in a manner where you can communicate and you can get the message across. And I think that design is very much lost in translation often, and I think that comes with experience. I think that, we didn't get this far by just arriving here because of one good project.
So what was the biggest mistake that you were like, holy shit, but what did you learn from it?
I think that's the easy one, actually. It's funny, it's something that I was talking about with a colleague yesterday. I think our biggest mistake initially was seriously undervaluing our abilities because of fear. A lot of it was around, can we do it? Can we compete? All of the designers that I grew up, drooling over, all those companies were so far away from something I'd ever reach that you kind of start devaluing yourself to a little bit. And I think us being South African and us kind of getting this opportunity, and my first international project was a project in Paris. The client was someone that is an African client that I'd done a number of projects for. And the opportunity came up. He said, listen, do you guys want to take a shot at this? And my first reaction was like, absolutely not. We have no idea what we're doing. We can't work with French architects. We can't speak the language. You start putting hurdles in your way. You start kind of trying to give yourself reasons to turn it down, just in case you fail. And I think the biggest mistake we made in those years was we thought that we maybe weren't good enough, and maybe we weren't experienced enough, and maybe they weren't like the kind of work that we do. But then you kind of, as you start doing we took on that project and it was amazing. And I worked with French architects and I learned a little bit of French. My French is terrible. But that's kind of how the ball started rolling.
Tell me about the word luxury, right? Because it's so overutilized. It's obviously, it means different for everybody. So what it is really for you guys? My sort of definition of luxury,
I think it changes. It does change. I think the core of luxury is initially about, the best in life, having everything that you need, living in spaces that inspire you, which that's kind of what I think most people would say luxury is. I think for me, and I think a lot of the people that we work with in our team, luxury is being able to offer somebody a place where they can be the best versions of themselves. And let me I'll paint a picture for you very, very briefly. If you think of some of our clientele, these are people that are incredibly well-traveled. They are well-read. They are well-educated, majority of them. They are very much their own personalities. They are, you know, they've worked for an endless amount of time to get to where they are in life, and my job to give those, because those people have luxury. Their life is all surrounded by luxury. So in my version of luxury, and what I've always perceived as luxury is, I imagine that person on a Sunday morning reading the newspaper with no shoes on, you know, sitting in his beautiful lounge, and being the best version of himself, his most relaxed, most intimate self, surrounded by things that inspire them. And I think that for me is what real luxury is. I remember one of my first big jobs in Miami, you know, across the road was a top designer. And here I was, you know, getting out of an Uber, you know, walking onto site, and I mean, our client was amazing. I mean, I still hold him hugely in a dear place in my heart. And I think he took a shot. You know, he took a shot at us. He saw something that, you know, other people hadn't seen yet. And I think that really was where we started kind of seeing, okay, well, this is actually what luxury is. This is not just about making this place look pretty or be a magazine cover. And there's certain publications out there that I believe capture that really well. You know, AD, for example, you know, like, you know, is a magazine that I think, you know, captures those little quiet moments of luxury, those beautiful little nuances, those little kind of defining characters of a project.
You coming from a position of passion, because you do everything from your heart. You, by that I mean you and your team, and that's what reflects on the DNA of ARRCC. And then that's inspiring the client to really feel, wow, I can be my best version through this. And that's where the life becomes the nucleus of what everything is doing in there. So as you were saying that, I was just picturing that on myself. I'm like, what will be my
what's your version?
No, I mean,
well, one day I'm going to design it for you. You don't know it yet, but it's going to happen.
Oh my God. You know, I live right in front of Star Island, so when I wake up in the morning, that's my routine. I always go outside in the balcony and I picture that.
And you think of John and
Star Island, and I'm like, that's my beautiful home. I obviously need to redesign it a little bit, obviously, to make it, as you said, inspiring, to be my best version. But no, I think that what you just said is phenomenal, and I really appreciate everything that you've shared with us today. It was a really deep and great conversation with really gold points. So I do appreciate your time. And I cannot wait to see you very soon here.
Well, I'm going to be.
Is there anything else you want to share with us?
Look, I mean, I think, just firstly, thank you for this opportunity. I always love chatting to you. You're a great guy, and the brand that you've built is phenomenal. And it's something I always refer to. You know, and I think for us, you know, and then again, it's similar to some of the logic that, you know, you would be an ARRCC employee. I mean, you know, you're this outgoing creative person. You've got this amazing ability to talk to people. You're people that you're a person that people really want to follow, and, you know, because you're always doing amazing things. I'm often very jealous. And I think that's really what the world is about nowadays. You know, it's entrepreneurship. It's creating your own lane. You know, and I think that's something that I think a lot of people that follow your channels resonate with, you know, and I think ARRCC as well, you know, ARRCC resonates with that too. So a big thank you to you and the Super Luxury Group. You know, we always follow on and see what you're up to, and watch the space at ARRCC, guys. Please follow us. We've got some very exciting things coming out. And there's some amazing projects on the go. I can't wait to share them with the world, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to lead to new, exciting adventures. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I love it, Jonah. What you just said is just phenomenal. And those lines that we walk together, they most times interconnect somehow. And that's why collaborations become so important, which is one of the reasons that you've succeeded so much through collaborations. And I really appreciate what you just said. So thank you again. Wishing you well. And
thank you, sir. All the best. Keep well. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cheers.